All right, I'm here at the end of the session. This is Scooter, and this is Bernie. That's Bernie band barking because he wants a treat. Mom, can you do me a favor? Get behind him right there and grab one of those bully sticks out of his bag and then give it to me, a big one. There you go. Yes, you want this? You can have it, but you got to be in the shot, so you can lay it right there and chew on it. All right, this is their roadmap to success. I was primarily called in to work with him for what he was just doing, demand barking. Now, for demand barking, the book says there's two things. Not allowed to be on the furniture and has to earn all of his pets. So I talked about petting with a purpose, which means that if he comes up and nudges you or invades your personal space or whatever it is, we're not going to pet him. We're going to give him a counter order, tell him to sit. When he sits, we're going to pet him under his chin, and we're going to say the word sit and only the word sit. If he's already sitting, ask him to sit over here or ask him to lay down. Basically, after a while, he'll start coming up and sitting down to prepay for a sit or for the attention. Now we've redirected him as desired actions, and we want to pet him at least once to an infinity number of times every time he prepays for it. Now, if we come in the room and we see someone's petting the dog and standing, we assume they forgot. We say paycheck. That person stops petting, says sit one time. And if he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, then he misses out and he doesn't get that attention. Playing hard to get works great with dogs and it'll work great with him. I think that he's just used to getting his way and he just promotes and protests and demands until he gets his attention, until he gets his way. Sit. There you go. But you're going to have to actually do it right here. There we go. Crash. That's the word I like to use. Passive training, right there, when he lays down, pet him and say crash every time he lays down near you. Every time he comes to you, pet him and say come. Every time he sits, pet him and say sit. I do this with food. Every time he takes a bite of food, maybe you call his food sushi, and maybe you call his food taco. So every time that he takes a bite of food, and he should eat first, for a couple months, he hears the word taco when he takes his first bite of food. He hears taco, there's food in his mouth. Bernie hears taco, there's no food in his mouth. Doesn't mean the same thing. They should each have a unique command word to eat. I also do the same thing with water. Every time they drink, I say agua or water or what beverage or cocktail or happy hour or whatever you want to say. It's nice if you're on a hike and you need to tell the dog, you need to drink here because they're not going to eat water for 2 hours. How do you do that unless you've created a command word? So I would name all of the toys that you have, and every time he brings you a toy, name each individual toy something. Look at that, he's leaving it again. All right, so you can come and lay down in your bed. All right, so I taught him how to use the dog bed. Remember to practice that. Really practice that. There you go. I'll let you have the sneaker. Toss the treats on the dog bed. Here we go. We'll give you the big one. It's like, I don't want it. He's already been eating it. So when, for the dog bed, toss the treat on the dog bed. When he licks it up, say the word leave a treat on the dog board or dog bed, or lead him into a sit or a down, and then give him the treat and say the command word. And that's to entice him to go there. Every time he's gone, make sure you leave one on the dog bed. And then when they start going there, say the word if you don't have a treat. If you have a treat, throw the treat towards him or go over and give him a treat. So now every time I come here, I get a treat. This is a good place. I should hang out here more. The reason we went over this is because one of the rules we took away, the furniture. And so, something I forgot about the furniture, I'm glad I remembered. So it's hard to keep the dogs off the furniture because they're just so used to getting up there. So a lot of my clients, what I recommend, you get something called X mats, the letter X, M-A-T-S. They're plastic books, essentially. You open them up and there's little plastic nubs on them so the dog won't feel comfortable. So you put them on all the cushions of the chairs when you're gone. When you get up to go to the bathroom, you pull it out from under the chair, put it on top of the chair, go to the bathroom. Dog comes and sits, it's occupied. And after a while, the dog gets out of the habit of getting up on the furniture. And for dogs, the higher they sit, the more rank or social status they have. Since he's barking kind of in a petulant way to ask for attention, it's really important that he starts understand that he doesn't have the same rank or authority as his humans. Okay, let me see, what else? We went over, that's petting with the purpose of passive training. We went over the importance of exercise. I think that's a huge component for his mischievous behavior. So I talked to the guardians about starting an exercise journal. Blank piece of paper for each day. Put the times on the left column and then create a column for each dog. And then write down the number of up downs on the stairs, the number of fetches, how long the walk was, the scent games, whatever these things are. And also for walks, you can get him a doggy backpack. They look like saddlebags. You can put like 2 bottles of water on each side, and now it's more efficient because he's carrying some water. Speaking of walks, I'm not going to go through it here, but I have 5 rules for a structured walk, and I showed the Guardian how to use a martingale collar and the special twist of the leash to give them more control in a walk. Whoever's in front is in charge, and these dogs both run in front of their Guardian so often she's become a master at switching leashes while she walks without getting them tangled up. Problem is the dog's going to be more reactive if it's in front. So if you go to doggoneproblems.com, and if I say video for the rest of these things, I'll say video in the title or what you would search for. Just go to doggoneproblems.com. If you're on a desktop, click on where it says dog training tips on the left side of the page, or on this side. There is a search box. If you're looking at a mobile device, it'll be at the bottom of the page. Again, dog training tips is the section. So there's a video on structured walk, and there's a whole bunch of those videos on that. So watch those and learn the 5 rules for a structured walk. You might want to also, does he get excited for the leash? Can you pull up the leash? Is he excited?
He gets more excited.
Okay, so calm leash is another video that you can search for. It teaches your dog to be calm when it's being leashed up. And your dog's energy level before you leave the house is what they're going to carry with them on the walk. So you have an excited dog on a walk, and you take it for a walk and let it get all excited during the leashing process. It's not going to listen. One little tip is you can actually exercise your dog before a walk. That actually produces a much better walk. Just don't overdo it. Find out how much you want to do. So start the exercise journal, keep it for a month, annotate all the exercise as well as all the other things. If he starts bringing things, he's probably saying, instead of interpreting that as being naughty, he's saying, I need some exercise. If he starts barking, write that down. After a while, and then at the end of the day, give a letter grade for each dog. And after a while, you'll start identifying, you know what, every time it's longer than 2.5 hours, that's when he gets stealing things or barking or whatever it is. So now we can start setting him up for success. Also, if we have guests come over, exercising your dog before you have guests come over is a wonderful way to set them up for success as well. So if you know you're going to have a barbecue or something like that, sending a dog to daycare can be great if you have a daycare facility you like, or just arrange a play date with some neighbor dogs so he gets to exercise himself. And then when people come over, you're like, oh, your dog is so chill. He used to jump up all over me. Like, of course, we hired Doggone Problems. He showed us how to calm our dogs down. Speaking of which, honey jumping is the video that'll show you the technique that I showed you when I first got here that teaches the dog to calm itself down at the door. So I practice that since that's important for you guys every time somebody comes home. When you guys come home, don't use your garage, park in the driveway, come to the door, but text the person first so you can put the dog on a leash, step on it, and apply that same approach. And after a while, Bernie's going to learn when I'm calm, I'm very attracted to people. They want to pet me. As soon as I get excited, they move away. And after a while, after enough repetition, he'll just start adopting that calm energy every time you have the guests come over. But again, exercising before the guest comes over really sets them up. All right, we went over a number of rules. Not being allowed the furniture is one. Having to sit at the door is another one. So tell him to go to the door and say sit once. If he doesn't sit within 3 seconds, walk away, sit down nearby, wait 1 minute, then go back and command them again. If they don't sit this time, walk away for 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 8 minutes. Keep double the length of time every time you walk away. But as soon as you tell him to sit, and let's say that, why am I forgetting his name? Scooter sits and Bernie doesn't, then I open the door and let Scooter out, and I wouldn't let him out. Now, once you've gotten to the point where they're calm at the door, you can search for permission to exit or permission to go through door. If you can't find it, message me, but it's a nice video that'll teach you how to teach your dog to wait, even though the door is wide open, for permission to go out. Other rules we went over: shouldn't be allowed to be in this area around, really on the carpet, I would say, or the area around the couch and the chairs in the living room when people are eating. Something to keep in mind, you guys noticed that he didn't want to sit anywhere. He has problems sitting anywhere but on the carpet. You only have carpet in a couple strategic places. So the dog bed should be more appealing, but also looking for a way to maybe having a little area rug in different places sometimes is helpful for the dogs. Crash, that's passive training. Let me see, speaking of chewies, I'm letting him chew a bully stick right now, a bully bite. Giving him high value items, especially we talked about in the video above, having a high value item to trade in case it's something that we do have to take away from him. Remember to practice that drop often whenever you can. But go to the green spot, get yourself a couple of cow knees, get a bag of bully bites. If you have people come over and you can preoccupy him with something that he really wants to chew on, he's not going to annoy them and be jumping up on them. But again, exercising beforehand will really help. I like cow knees, cow ears, tracheas. They have cod skins. They have bull pizzles. They have all sorts of stuff. But when you get the bully sticks, make sure they're low odor or odor free. Otherwise, you'll definitely know. I would also recommend getting a plethora of appropriate chew toys. When dogs get stressed, they need to chew. I would recommend you get a water buffalo horn. It will smell and stink for about a week, 2 weeks, and then you won't smell it anymore. It will probably outlast your dogs. Make sure it's not hollow, but it's basically a horn from a water buffalo, and they love chewing it. Also have a couple antlers. Antlers are expensive, and if you want to chew it, give it a neighbor that has a dog or two, let him chew on it for a couple days and bring it back, you'll want to chew it. I like to get the ones that are intact and not split down the axis. Let me see. I would also like nylobones of different flavors and different shapes. Most people get the one that looks like the cartoon skeleton bone that actually doesn't represent a bone. And you can also get regular bones. They're boiled. Never give them a cooked bone. They can splinter. Also getting them Kongs and filling Kongs up with peanut butter is a great way to preoccupy them because that helps them kind of almost simulate hunting. Once the dog gets used to it, then I start putting it in the freezer and freezing it, makes it harder to get it out unless you only get a little bit of peanut butter on the floor typically once they get it past the nub. So maybe you hold it till it gets below the surface and then give it to them and they can wander around the house. Preoccupying your dogs is a really great form of maintenance. Other forms of maintenance, they really like barking at the windows here, so I'd recommend you do the Roman blinds for the bottom part of the window, measure how high he can see and make it about 4 or 6 inches higher than that on the outside of the window so he can't scratch it down. So I would do that on this window all the way to the one by the dining room table so that way he can't, every time the neighbor's dogs come out, he doesn't get to go see them. Remember other rules, not being allowed to be in the kitchen when we're preparing food, not being allowed around the dining room table when we're eating. You might want to think about temporarily putting down painter's tape around the dining room table because it's kind of an open area. Remember, practice a setup session, microwave roast beef or ham or something like, or bacon, and then simulate cooking or simulate eating. And then when the dog sits or lies down outside the boundary, that's when we start our actual meal or start our actual cooking. Remember, we went through the out command, so go around the house, and I would maybe have her help you. Give her a handful of treats, or tear them in half. So say 2 for every area, and go around with her the first couple times. And so in the kitchen, throw the treat out. Dog runs out and licks it. Say out. Have the dog come back. Do it a second time. Do it for every area and every boundary or doorway in your house. And after you've done the whole circuit, then repeat the circuit. This time I stand outside the room and throw the treat into the kitchen. When the dog licks it up, I would say the kitchen, media, or living, or whatever the rooms are. Assign a name for each area. Come up with a list of the official command words. Most of us use a lot of variety and a lot of different human versions of a word, which if you speak English doesn't matter, but if you don't speak English, it makes it harder. Come here, come here, come here, over here, here boy, and so on. There's a lot of versions that we use where it's easier for all of us just to say come and only come. Remember, dogs hear the first word you say most than anything else. They also hear pronunciations. There's a difference between come and come. So you see I got his attention there, that high baby voice, but a lot of times we don't want to, that reminds me, we don't want to use that voice. We have somebody at the door about to come in. Let me keep going. Sister's home. All right, so for the sounds at the door, another video I have is vacuum cleaner. So just search for vacuum cleaner. It shows you how to get the dog. Is he still reacting to the vacuum?
Yes.
When he's out? Okay, so the guardian found a way to get him to not react, but it's a temporary solution. My solution will stop him from reacting permanently. So I would search for vacuum cleaner and go through that. There's also, let me see, calm leashing, I think I already mentioned. There's another one, I'm trying to think of the dog's name. I think it was Charlie, but basically counter conditioning. That's a cute little, I want to say Charlie, but it's a Jack Russell Terrier that's scared of everything. So I show how to, the dog, you crinkle a water bottle, the dog freaks out. That's the cortisol in the blood. So I did a number of videos on counter conditioning. Do it in all one word, not 2 separate words. And then basically you can recreate the sound of the door opening, the sound of the ring hitting, the curling iron, all the sounds that we whenever come. And we can deprogram, desensitize, and counter-condition the dog so it's no longer reactive to those things. A lot of times we just kind of band-aid or we hide the thing, and then when it catches us by surprise, then the dog freak out. You can do it for doorbells, knocking at the door. I got to the point where dogs charge and run at the door or trying to kill the TV. After a while, just sit there and watch. So there's a bunch of videos with counter-conditioning, all sorts of different situations, so I would check that out. Trying to think, is there anything else that I've said I wanted to go over? Make sure that you're eating something before you're feeding the dog. That's another video you can go over, structured feeding. I would feed the dogs one at a time. And make sure that if he comes over and doesn't eat all his food, when he walks away, dump any remaining food. Don't leave the food out in the bowl. That way you're the provider of the food. They sleep with the guardians, and the guardians probably don't want to give that up. So if that's the case, then just make sure that they are not on the bed without an invitation, and you tell them where they go on the bed. If they don't like it, there's a whole lot of floor for them. You might want to also search for kennel training. I have a whole lot of videos for different things for training, but what you want to do is teach the dog to be calm exiting the kennel. You probably don't need it for him from what you described, but if he is kind of, as soon as you reach to open the door, he gets excited, that's when I would definitely check that out, because it's a great way to develop some self-control. Anything else? If you have, you're probably going to remember things that you forgot to go over in the session. Call me or text me. I have videos. I can usually share videos. We don't need to do a follow-up session. Sometimes we need to. If we need to, or you want to teach them to walk with a loose leash or whatever else it is, let me know. These martingale collars, I would not leave on them a regular basis. I would use these just for walking and get yourself straight leashes for this. And I would recommend getting a 4-foot leash for each dog. So his leash should be an inch wide. His leash should be about 3/4 of an inch wide. If you have a long leash, you just have to wrap it around your hand a whole bunch of times. It's not very comfortable. Short leash with the martingale twist, you're not going to do much. This way, the only correction you're doing is a very small movement of your hand as opposed to pulling the leash all over the place. I would rather come back and teach you guys, or send Megan or somebody else to teach your dogs to walk with a loose leash, so you can tuck the leashes in your butt pocket and walk down the street reading your phone and drinking your cappuccino. That's pretty awesome, but it takes a lot of practice. So if you want to do that, let us know. If there's anything that stops working or any other questions or problems, please call me or text me. If I don't hear from you, I assume that means everything is going great. I don't care if it's 5 seconds after I walk out the door, 5 years from now. Please call or text me. Text me the fastest way to reach me. I get about 50 emails a day. I may not remember the dogs. If you can get a picture of them together, I'd be impressed. No, but text me a picture of them. Hey, David, you worked with Bernie and Scooter and had a quick question about countersurfing or whatever it is, and I'll get back to you. If you don't hear back from me in a day, sometimes it goes to my watch and not my phone, just ping me again. But I'm here to support you, and I will support you afterwards. All right, well, this is Bernie, not Bernie Sanders, and that is Scooter, not Scooter Libby, and this is not a political talk, and this is the roadmap to success. Remember, everything you do trains your dog, only sometimes you mean it.